Good morning and welcome to this exciting day where we talk about businesses and business stories and talking points and economic data all around the world. It is Business 360 and my name is Blyden Okem. In Business 360 today, we'll look at the key talking points beginning with Chinese technology shares. Chinese technology shares fell after the country's cyberspace regulator recommended limiting smartphone usage of children under 18. Shares of firms like Alibaba and video sharing sites Bilibili fell on Wednesday and saw further losses on Thursday. The proposed law would see children being only allowed to use their phones for a maximum of 2 hours a day. It comes 4 years after children in the world's second largest economy were subject to gaming restrictions. The rules proposed by the Cyberspace Administration of China, CAC, will also see the CAC's proposal requires industry players, including mobile phone device makers, apps, and app stores to develop a function called minor modes to set usage limits which vary by age. While children between the ages of 16 to 18 will be allowed 2 hours of screen time a day, those under the age of 8 will only be allotted 8 minutes. The proposal is currently open to public feedback, but it's triggering. China is now the world's largest Ukraine war. The question then is a journal that explains more regarding this.
It is Chinese cars coming off the assembly line. The factory produced tens of thousands of vehicles, including Ford trucks, German BMWs, and South Korean Hyundais every year, until Russia's invasion of Ukraine. As international sanctions prompted foreign automakers to leave the country, Chinese brands filled the void, making billions of dollars.
Car makers who have been struggling in the domestic market in China, they're finding an opportunistic moment when it comes to the Russian market.
Here's how Chinese car makers are profiting from the Western corporate exodus and what it means for Russia's auto market. Car making is one of Russia's main industries. It employed some 300,000 people directly and produced vehicles and parts worth about $42 billion in 2020.
The first Renault created for the Russian market.
Foreign automakers opened factories and partnered with local brands, pushing Russia into the ranks of the world's top car producers. And Russians eagerly embraced foreign cars, with Japanese, Korean and European brands dominating the market for years. But Moscow's invasion of Ukraine hit the industry hard. Western sanctions cut off Russia's access to global supply chains for essential parts, such as computer chips, prompting many foreign brands to halt production or withdraw from the country. Soaring inflation and uncertainty contributed to a dramatic drop in cars. Brands stepped in. Car dealerships across Russia started reopening under new brands. For example, this showroom outside Moscow changed from Nissan to Kaiyi from China. Russian buyers became more familiar with Chinese cars. Chinese SUVs have even been spotted in the Kremlin's motorcades. By mid-2023, the list of the 10 most popular car brands in Russia looked very different to before the war. 6 of them were Chinese. This year, Russia became the #1 buyer of Chinese vehicles, spending some $6 billion in the first 4 months of 2023, helping China to become the world's largest auto exporter.
The exports to Russia
Is a story about what's happening, the effects of the Russia-Ukraine war and how it gets to impact the Chinese market and Russia. And China now becoming the biggest, largest exporter of cars to Russia. Now to the Bank of Japan's policy. The Bank of Japan's policy moves are reverberating through global financial markets with a main hint of an end to the bank's yield curve controls, sending markets into 24 hours tailspin in late July. What is behind the bank's strategy? Jim Lorio explains more. Let's hear from Jim. Apologies for the audio. Let's move to Africa now. The Kenyan government has ordered cryptocurrency project WorldCoin to stop signing up new users, citing data privacy concerns. WorldCoin, founded by US tech entrepreneur Sam Altman, offers free crypto tokens to people who agree to have their eyeballs scanned. Thousands of Kenyans have been queuing up at registration centers this week to get the currency worth about $49. Kenya warned citizens to be cautious, giving the data to security services and data protection agencies to establish its authenticity and legality. And that is a concern regarding WorldCoin and Kenyans interested in the coin. In Nigeria, oil marketers claim that once local refining is fully operational, the cost of petrol will reduce by at least 70 naira a litre. Mike Osatui, National Controller Operations for the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, said, when discussing on the advantages of the federal government's investment in working refineries, he told the media that a contract for renovating the refineries had been issued, and it would be great for repairs to be finished as soon as possible in order to reduce the strain and significant financial burdens of importation on the nation. No fewer than 7.8 million small businesses under the Association of Small Business Owners of Nigeria, ASPON, have been dead within the last 2 years, according to reports. The president ASPON, Femi Ekpesola, said that 20% of businesses have gone under the radar within the past 2.5 years, from January 2021 till date. He said about 39 million existing businesses are captured by data, but 20% of those could not survive the market. Ekpesola urged the government to swiftly address the harsh business conditions through the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has given digital money lenders 5 days to prove they are operating within its set guidelines. According to report, it also asked Google to remove 18 digital lenders from Play Store for violation of its guideline. According to the FCCPC, compliance with its guideline was now mandatory, and failure to do so was a violation of the law. On July 20, 2023, the FCCPC delisted 2 loan apps, Get Loan and Camel Loan, from Google Play Store for harassing Nigerians. On Wednesday, the FCCPC further delisted 16 more loan firms and asked Google to delete them too. It would be a good time to move to global economy to talk about economic statistics all around the world and the standings according to groupings of nations. Beginning with economic calendar this morning, expected data releases for today, Thursday, August 3rd, 2023. The calendar this morning. According to economic calendar this morning, as at 2:30 a.m., balance of trade for June in Australia came out at 11.321 billion Australian dollar, revised from the 10.497 billion dollars previously, and a forecast depicted 10.8 billion Australian dollars, but the outcome was better than the forecast and the previous standings. Further in the day, in the morning, let's look at the standings in the morning, the early hours of this morning also, and what the appropriation would be. By 2:30 a.m., exports month on month in Australia for June came out. Now talking about data across the world, to Turkish inflation rates. Turkish inflation rate highest in 4 months. The annual inflation rate in Turkey rose for the first time in 9 months to 47.8% in July 2023 from 38.2% in June, and above market forecast of 47.3%, as several tax hikes and the lira depreciation pushed prices higher. Main upward pressures came from housing and utilities, transportation, furnishing, household equipment, and health. Food inflation also surged to a 4-month high of 60.7%. On a monthly basis, consumer prices soared by 9.5%, the biggest increase since January last year. The Central Bank of Turkey recently forecast that inflation will hit 58% by the end of the year. According to inflation statistics in in Turkey, the Turkish Statistical Institute gave an outline as at October 2022 rather. Turkish inflation was at 85.51%, quite high, but it began to slow down at the end of the year by December at 64.27% and dropping to 57.68% in January this year. But the slowdown continued to 43.684% in April 2023 before a recent upward movement is going up, as well as the Turkish lira struggling in the economic standings and markets. In Africa, looking at Egypt's private sector as it shrinks the least in almost 2 years. The S&P Global Egypt PMI, the Purchasers Managers Index H21, as new orders decreased slightly and output shrank at the slowest rate since September 2021. Moreover, some firms notice a recovery in domestic demand despite the fact that high prices and broader inflationary pressures held back spending. On the price fronts, in an effort to boost sales and as cost pressures eased in recent months, average prices charted with the level of confidence increasing from June but remaining almost the lowest ever noted in the series history. Let's talk about the commodity market with Virginia McCarthy leading the way. Corn is mixed in the market as at the closure of yesterday's market. Soybeans and wheat trades were lower. Virginia McCarthy examines this. Let's hear from Virginia.
For the futures to reverse back up, we did have a 40-cent range. We were down 26.25 cents really at one point right now, getting very close to that $13 support level. The optional is at 37, that's down a little bit, and the meal is at 28.25. Now, corn was a little bit mixed. Is the crop yield getting bigger? It really is the big question. Next week's USDA report will tell the tale. And like beans, corn traded on both sides of unchanged with a 26-cent range today, and for a moment did break through that $5 support level. So that's something to watch as we go forward somewhat. CVOL was down 1.75% to 33.7. Now, we to the daily action that's going on over there, whether it's attacking the infrastructure or not. Futures did have a 48-cent range today, though, extending yesterday's range on the upside and the downside. So it's hard to tell which way that market's going to go. Open interest in that SEP contract added 1,400.
Most importantly, the grains market. Let's move to the market itself and see the prices for agricultural commodities and the grains, beginning with the agricultural market. The agricultural market this morning has shown some positivity for soybeans. Current price for soybeans is $1,433 per bushel, gaining 4 points, a 0.28% appreciation. For wheat price, it's $642 per bushel, gaining 2.18 points, a 0.34% appreciation. Lumber is slightly downward. Palm oil dropping 93 points, 3,822, dropping by 1.5 points, 128 US dollars in terms of cents per kg. It's the price, dropping at a negative 1.16% decline. Orange juice is downward by 10 points, negative 3.2% decline. Coffee also dropped downward by 1.35 points. Cotton slightly downward. And the rest of these commodities, cocoa also downward by 27 points this morning. Let's look at further commodities in the market, talking about the metal market and afterwards the energy market next. The metal market. The metal market has indicated the price of gold gaining 3.33 points this morning, a 0.17% appreciation. 1,936 US dollars per ounce is the price of gold. Silver, it's a little here, a little there, slightly downward by a negative 0.69% depreciation. For copper, similar story, but no volatility in the market. Steel prices downward by 69 points this morning, 3,687 Chinese market next. The energy market has been a little here, a little there in recent times amid all the concerns regarding the war between Russia and Ukraine. While the price of crude oil is relatively stable, percentage depreciation. For Brent, which is Nigeria's price benchmark, is at 82 US dollars per barrel, dropping 0.3 points this morning, a negative 0.37% depreciation. Natural gas a little here, a little there, though gaining 1.25 percentage points. And gasoline dropping slightly. Heating oil, same story, Coal has dropped by 1 point this morning. Session ahead of today's Bank of England meeting. Bank of England meeting will be out in the afternoon around 12 noon this afternoon. And Bob Icino is standing by to give us outlook regarding this. Bob Icino.
In the currency quadrant, the September British pound is on a 3-day losing streak and has also fallen in 4 of the last 5 sessions. That 5-session drop from the July 27th rotational high amounts to just over 2%. The pound has also lost about 3.17% from the recent July 14th high. The July 14th high is the highest price level the pound has reached since early April of 2022. Slowing in the UK economic data combined with the stubborn nature of the inflation they've seen recently has weakened the currency after an over 8-month rally brought the sterling to those July highs I just mentioned. Just yesterday, we saw another drop in nationwide housing prices and continued weakness in the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI, which came in at 45.3, well in contraction territory. Yesterday's 2-year gilt auction went off at a yield of 5.272, a significant drop from the previous level of 5.668. This shows that the Bank of England will be discussing these themes at tomorrow morning's Bank of England rate meeting, where the market expects a 25 basis point rate hike. Still, some analysts have talked about a whisper number of a 50 basis point rate.
That's the standings regarding the pound futures and their performances at the closure of yesterday's market and the opening this morning. Let's move to the market this morning, the Forex market, and see what the price of the majors are against the US dollar, the euro against the US dollar first. And afterwards, we'll talk about Naira's perspective in the market, the euro against the US dollar. The euro against the US dollar this morning has shown low volatility as usual. Point mark at the moment, a negative 0.1% decline for the pound against the US dollar this morning, is dropping from 1.27 points yesterday to 1.26 point mark, a negative 0.31% decline. The Aussie, the Australian dollar, also struggling against the US dollar, but slightly, but the volatility level in the market is so low. Let's look at the standings for the Naira against the majors, the US dollar against the Naira and the pound against the Naira. At the opening of the morning market, Naira has gone up slightly against the US dollar. No wonder the US dollar is dropping by negative 2.14 points, a negative 0.28% decline. But on a yearly basis, it's been the US dollar gaining massively, 85.96% appreciation over the Naira. It's a similar story at the closure of yesterday's market. Naira came out top against the euro, and Naira came out top against the pound, but a slight gain over the euro and the pound of 0.4 points and 0.25 points respectively. Current price for the euro, Naira to euro, it's 830 Naira, equaling 1 euro at the investors and exporters window. And for the pound to Naira, it's 966 Naira, which is in the black market. The dollar to Naira, it's 892 Naira, equaling $1 at the buying rate, and selling rate 872 Naira to $1. At the pounds to Naira, it's 1,170 Naira, equaling £1 at the buying rate, and selling rate 1,150 Naira to a pound. The euro to Naira also is indicative of 955 Naira, equaling 1 euro at the buying rate, and selling rate 940 Naira. Also leaving the fiat, let's move to the digital currency and see the prices for cryptocurrencies, beginning with Bitcoin, the father and mother of cryptocurrencies. Current price for Bitcoin is $29,000 for 1 Bitcoin, dropping this by 9.9. It seems to be a bloodbath for the cryptocurrencies. Binance is dropping by 7.1 point this morning. Cardano, a little here, a little there. Solana dropping this morning, 0.4 points this morning. And the concerns are there for the cryptocurrencies and the standings of it moving forward. Let's quickly talk about the stock markets all around the world, beginning with the European stock market and the identities of the European stock market this morning amid events unfolding yesterday. The European stocks fall by third day. Major bosses in Europe extended losses for a third straight session today, with the DAX underperforming its regional peers and losing almost 1%, while the pan-European Stoxx 600 was now about 0.5%. Traders continue to focus on corporate results and await the Bank of England monetary policy decision by 12 noon today. And Taken Basic Materials were among the worst performers. On the corporate front, shares of Infineon sank over 8% after the chip maker forecasted a decline in the fourth quarter revenue, and Lufthansa was down more than 3% after a free cash flow miss. On the other hand, Societe Generale gained almost 3%. The Nigerian stock market yesterday, and giving a picture to what could happen today in the Nigerian stock market. Let's talk about the Nigerian stock market next. At the end of yesterday's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 330.78 million shares in 6,251 deals, corresponding to a market value of 4.269 billion naira, were traded yesterday. This gives an outlook to also what could happen in today's market. The all-share index edged higher from 64,192.2 points to 64,267.36 points after gaining 75.16 basis points. The market capitalization yesterday stood at 35 trillion naira. Let's look at the top gainers today. What the standings are for the top gainers at the closure of yesterday's market. National Salt Company led the gainers with 10% share price appreciation, closing at 35 naira 75 kobo per share. The bottom losers. Thomas Watt Nigeria came out last with an end-of-day price appreciation of 10% at 1 naira 17 kobo per share. The top volume. Transcorp Nigeria recorded the highest volume of 58.8 million traded shares. This set a template to what could happen in today's market. And here we draw the curtain on today's edition of Business 360. My name is Blyden Okem. Thank you for watching.